afternoon, good evening, and good morning. I know there are people from across the globe tuned in today. Very excited to have you all. For those of you that joined yesterday's session, welcome back. Newbies, hello. We've got a really great classroom today that has been put together by Danielle, the founder and CEO of the Bonita Project, and she will introduce you guys to those brilliant women that we'll be speaking shortly. First things first, I'm Charlotte Mair, the founder and managing director of The Fitting Room. I started the Movement Project, its time, back in September 2019 as a safe space for women to come together, swap war wounds, talk about what's up and coming, a bit of a career chat, and just keep it real, I guess, was kind of the important thing that Danielle and I discussed. So The Fitting Room is a 360 brand communications agency. So from social strategy, comm strategy, PR, activations, you name it, we do it, anything the guest or customer touches. I was 27 when I started the agency. I had £17 in my bank account and I just kind of thought, fuck it, let's go for gold and let's see if money can be made. And here we are 8 years later and still surviving. We wanted to collaborate with the Bonita Project because as soon as I read about Danielle online, I just thought we're actually really aligned in our ways that we view the world, our belief in diversification of everybody that's sat at the table, how you bring together great minds and make that process feel inclusive. And so we've ended up here with a 3-day virtual school. I think I said this yesterday, there's been some really challenging things in the news, particularly in the US of the last sort of 48 hours. And actually it really got me back to my core, thinking about why did I want to be a communicator? You know, however we look at it, whether you are in PR, marketing, whichever channels, platforms you use, fundamentally our job is to tell stories and to bring news to the people. And actually, what we were saying yesterday is the communications is the power of words and understanding the power of words and how they make people feel and how you build authenticity. And one of the things that I was saying yesterday is with the challenges in the world at the moment, words are truth. They are truth. More and more people are looking for truth. And I think that's what we're going to get today from the realist that Danielle has put together for the panel. Really varied audience today, much like yesterday. We've got students that are coming through and thinking about what they should be doing next. We've got CEOs, CMOs, managing directors, people who are thinking about what they could be doing with their businesses and if they need to pivot. So we've kept the content with hopefully something for everybody. And I really hope you enjoy. And I'm actually going to be very quiet today and we'll hand over to Danielle. But something that we slightly missed yesterday was just a little bit recap on businesses. So I wanted to ask Danielle 2 questions before she jumps into her brilliant panel. So my first question is, why did you start the Bonita Project?
Hi everyone, or hi Bonitas. So I started the Bonita Project because I was very passionate about just inclusivity and multicultural marketing. I mean, that was my background, multicultural PR, and I wanted to create an agency that kind of functioned very differently than what's out there. And I've now evolved into like an agency that gets to work with all these amazing young talent that has so much potential. And you know, thankfully the background and the schooling that I got prior taught me a lot of things. And, you know, while I was working with the bigger brands, I felt like that's it. Like I capped what I could get. And I now am applying that same effort to these smaller, I hate to say smaller brands, but you know, the younger brands that are now coming out. And it's just a passion of mine. So like for those that attended yesterday, the panel, I got to speak a little bit about that. And it's just become a big passion point of mine to really do the storytelling for the underdogs, as we say.
And how are you finding entrepreneurship and self-employment?
It's grad school for me. It's another version of school. I'm learning so much more. I'm enjoying it, to be honest with you. I think even during these weird times that we're in, my the creative side of it has had to come out. And the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur, and I think everybody here in this virtual room can attest, is that, you know, when you have an idea, you can just run with it, and who cares what everyone's going to think, right? And I think that's what I like about what I'm doing right now. I think I don't need anyone's approval. Yes, obviously when it comes to clients, I have to pitch them ideas and get their approval. But when it comes to running my own business, if I like something and I want to speak about it, I'm going to say it. So that's the beauty about entrepreneurship, is just like running with your ideas, running free with your ideas and create
free. You can just make things happen without sign off. That's definitely
exactly.
freedom. Well, I am going to be quiet and I'm going to hand over to Danielle, and we hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. So hi, everybody. I'm not going to go into further of an introduction for the Bonita Project. I think everybody here has a good idea of what TBP is, who we are, and I am so excited to share that we have all of our Bonita clients as part of our panelists today. And each and every one that you're going to meet with today is a brand founder and has been part of the brand building process. So if you're joining us, and whether you are a content creator, whether you are looking to eventually build your own brand, these are definitely the ladies to talk to, because they have experiences and backgrounds in very different sectors that are that applies to what it is when building a brand. So I'm going to quickly introduce everybody, just name drop, but I'm going to let everybody also just jump in and share a little bit about their background. So we have, first and foremost, we have Chelsi, who's the co-founder of Kinko Care, and that is our personal care client. It's a natural deodorant brand that launched just last year, and they carry 2 SKUs, and just recently they also came out with sanitizers for donation during these times, and we're donating still to local hospitals across Texas, but also any small essential businesses that are in need. And then next up here, we also have Rojas, who is the founder and owner of Botanica Beauty. We have Aisha Ceballos Crump, who's the founder of Honey Baby Naturals. We have Gabi Trujillo, who is the founder of Alamat Cosmetics. And then lastly, we have Khadidja Toure, who is the founder of Kubra Skincare. So I'm going to start it off with Chelsi. Chelsi, if you want to kick it off with like a quick introduction about yourself, and we'll continue.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Chelsi Ostreich, and I've been in the beauty industry for 22 years, actually, this summer. So it's hard to believe because it has gone by in a flash, but all in corporate marketing and corporate product development, and all in Houston, Texas. And that's what people can't believe. I'm based in Houston, and started on the ground floor at Laura Mercier, worked my way up. I've always been in entrepreneurial beauty companies, Sunday Riley, Cover Effects, and now doing my own thing, and just love everything about this industry.
Hi everyone, I'm Ada Rojas. I'm the founder of Botanica Beauty. I've spent the last 10 years of my career as an influencer online, and that, gave me the opportunity to build an amazing community online. And then I met Aisha, which I'll let her tell the story. And we came together to create Botanica Beauty, and because of her, I was able to launch my brand Botanica, which was one of my biggest dreams after having the opportunity to work with so many other natural hair care brands. So that's how Botanica came about, and this is kind of like my first year as a beauty entrepreneur. It's a whole different ballgame from the influencer game, but they're kind of connected, and I'm learning so much, and I'm just so thankful to have Aisha as a guide and mentor, because honestly, this whole industry is really crazy. The tenacity and the drive that you have to wake up every day and say, I'm gonna do this, like, you have to be a crazy person. So I'm just glad that I have another crazy person to walk me through this journey, because it's insane.
Gonna make me cry on this rainy Thursday morning. I'm Aisha Ceballos Crump, and I am owner and founder of Honey Baby Naturals, which was actually the first Latina hair and skincare brand in mass retail. So I kind of feel like a pioneer. I actually spent about 17 years in the beauty industry. Well, God, I'm old, about 20 years almost. And I actually have a very different path. I started off I went to school for chemical engineering. So I'm really into ingredient-based stories and formulation development. Spent years sourcing, manufacturing, and it all came full circle 4 years ago when I realized there was a void in the market. And I quit my job, my good paying job, as they would say, corporate job, and founded Honey Baby Naturals. And I met Ada 2 years ago and realized that we're stronger together and we needed more brands in the space, helped launch Bonita Beauty. She's been an amazing partner. And in January, I actually launched Beauty Loft, which is our first of its kind multicultural beauty brand incubator, so that, you know, we can have more founders that look like us, that come from the same backgrounds and tell our stories, and we can change the face of beauty.
My name is Gabby Trujillo. I am the founder and CEO of Alamar Cosmetics. We are a Latina owned and operated brand based out of Miami. My story kind of started when I was 18. I started doing makeup professionally. I went straight from high school, tried college, went straight to beauty school, and started doing makeup right away. So I started off by building my clientele, people in my area who knew me from makeup, started building my social media. Just like Ada, I've pretty much, like I've been an influencer since it started, since Instagram started. I started posting and have built up my following like slowly but surely. And I worked for another company where I did product development, social media, kind of just getting to know every aspect of that company. And then from being there for over 2 years, I just felt like I had enough knowledge and I was prepared. Like I just felt like the same way that when I was listening to Charlotte when she was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, I know now, I know what I know now, let me use it now. So I just took all of my savings and invested it in our very first palette. And yeah, I've had a very thankfully successful brand for the last 2 years. So that's my story and that's how we ended up here.
So my name is Khadidja Toure. I'm the founder of Kubra Skincare. My early fasting, I'm an engineer and I graduated with my degree in biomedical engineering with pre-med. So I wasn't in the beauty industry for a really long time, but it's always something that I was fascinated about. I always had really bad skin. So I think just something that was a pain point turned into a point of passion. And I think that when you're really meant to be doing something, it's interesting how like, the universe aligns everything for you to be doing this. So I feel like I'm pursuing my passion, my love for skincare, and yeah,
So I hope everyone can hear me. So like I said, I worked in the beauty industry behind the scenes, and it gives a whole different perspective. So as a chemical engineer, I actually was selling chemicals to firms that were creating product. So I would go in and, you know, basically teach the chemists how to make the products. I would make suggestions on the ends and claims. And, you know, it was like pride when I would walk into a retailer and see our products on the shelf. So I was like, dang, this is exciting. And then I transitioned from that point. I was selling chemicals into manufacturing. I worked with so many great brands and learned from so many brands. But again, it was just like, okay, tell me what you want to create and I'm going to create it for you. And so a lot of us, you know, are in jobs and situations where we're creating masterpieces, I call it, or we're creating like greatness for other people. But then you're kind of like, well, I have greatness inside of me. Let's figure out how to get it out. So I did that for so many years, learned every aspect of the business from sourcing, manufacturing, development, retail, marketing. And I'm Puerto Rican, my husband's African American. And we have 3 multiracial children, if you want to call it that. And they all have different hair textures. And it's funny because there's so many products that say they're multicultural, but if you see my hair, it's very fine. My kids range from, you know, we range from 2 to 4, you know, in our family as far as hair types. And so I had different bins in the kitchen. Because that's where we do our hairs, in the kitchen, for each one of my children. And it was just like, oh my God, why isn't there a product that is for everyone, regardless of texture, that's natural enough, that's great enough, that regardless of age, regardless of sex. And that was my aha Oprah moment. I'm like, I have all this knowledge and all this experience. I'm going to create a great line of products that is a family brand that works for everyone regardless of texture. And so that's when I have 3 kids. That's when Honey Baby Naturals was born. I started making my own formulas, working with people in the industry. And like I said, it's been about 5 years ago when I decided to start working on this, quit my job about 4 years, I wish, 4 years ago. And it was just like, at that point, I was determined to change everything that we knew about the hair industry, the beauty industry, and the face of beauty. And so that was my inspiration, in addition to teaching my daughters what it is to be a powerful woman in business, to be a boss, to be an entrepreneur, not just work for someone else and make them filthy rich, but let's think about generational wealth and how we're going to create something for our legacy, for our family, and moving forward. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Love that story. And then I want to jump into Chelsi. Chelsi, why did you found Kinko or help with the founding of Kinko?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was early 2017. I actually left the corporate world at Cover FX. I was head of marketing and product development there, and I was living on the road and was never home. And I have two daughters who are now 13 and 10. And my husband was like, "It's getting out of my scope here. There are bras being talked about, and I need some help here." And so I decided to stay home. And during that time, believe it or not, in 2017, I had 3 friends, all in my age group, which is early 40s. I'm 44 today. Got diagnosed with breast cancer, and sitting in chemo with one of my best friends during 2017, which I was so thankful I didn't have a job and I could do that. And Fanny and I met in our cosmetic circles here in Houston. She's a cosmetic scientist, and that's my partner for Kinko. And she started her career at Unilever making antiperspirants. And so we came together and we were talking, and I'm like, gosh, I've got 3 friends, that circle or that conversation in our circle of we should be maybe using a natural deodorant, maybe clean hair care, maybe clean this, maybe those frozen pizzas we ate in college weren't so good for us, but that's the age we are, that's what we grew up on, and the rise of fast food. And we're like, no, wait a minute. And at the same time, she's got 2 kids too. We're looking at our children. We're like, what do we want to put on them now that they're getting old enough to use these products? And so we came together and we're like, and Fanny was the one, she's like, I know I can do a natural deodorant better than the ones that are on the market. Because right now it's all baking soda and gritty formulas, and do they work? Do they just mask the odor? All that stuff. And she's like, if we actually just work with the microbiome of the skin, which is kind of a hot trend in skincare, because it's something from my past that I had been looking at in the microbiome and how our personal care products and all these products are working together with our skin. And regardless, just eliminating aluminum from our deodorants and our antiperspirants is something just my circle of friends was talking about. I'm looking at my daughters and their faces. I want to do better by them than we did by us. Not that my parents did wrong by me. We just didn't know. And so that's how we wanted to start Kinko, is because those just personal things were literally going on in our lives. It was just the right time, just the right moment. And we started Kinko, and we launched in July of 2019. And I have to say, we're just so proud of what we've done to date, and it's really resonating out there, and people are looking for cleaner products to put on their bodies head to toe. Hopefully no frozen pizzas too, but hey, we all have the moment.
I love that. And for those that don't know, you guys also launched on HSN earlier this year.
We did. We just we had 3 shows in February, and now I was in person, but of course now I get to Skype in. I Skyped in to HSN last week. So yeah, and it's been a great ride, and it's doing really well for us, which is great because it's a good megaphone for our small brand.
Amazing. So up next, I'm going to let Ada give us a bit of background on her and Botanica and the big news that she has been announcing these last couple of weeks, aka Target and Walmart.
As I shared, I've been in the influencer space for the last 10 years, and I had the opportunity to work with all the natural hair care brands. Everyone, to the point that I even developed great relationships with the founders of the brands. But I'm like, okay, I see what I can do for your brand, and I see the return on investment, because my audience would tag me like, oh, Ada put me onto this product. But I'm like, how, I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college. All my family has known all their life is pretty much poverty. How can I get ahead? How can I get my family ahead? And so when I met Aisha, I was like, oh my God, yes, this is it. This is it. This is the defining moment in my life where everything just kind of made sense. Everything that I had went through, everything that I had experienced, all the jobs that I had, it kind of accumulated to this moment. I can have my own brand. And, I had pitched Aisha the idea of doing a collab because I just kind of wanted to show her my worth. And I wanted to show her that I can really be an asset to what she was already doing. And thankfully, she believed in me and saw the same kind of hustle that she has, and was like, I don't want to help you do a collab. I want to help you build your own brand. And because of my years of experience working as an influencer for the other companies, I feel like they would always work with me because they wanted to check off oh, we have to work work with a Latina girl that has curly hair. But they really weren't checking for our community like that, or they really didn't understand our community. They just wanted to check off a box that they used the Latina girl in their campaigns. And I'm like, there's more to us than that. We're not just a box that you check. And if you took the time to really get to know our community, especially the Afro-Latina community, because yes, the Latina segment is huge, but there are Latinas who are Black women that speak Spanish. There are Latinas that look like me that are mixed, or, you know, even have like a looser curl pattern, that are still very proud of their African ancestry. And, you know, I recently had the opportunity to go to Ghana this past year, and it's crazy to see like how much of our culture and how much of our Caribbean culture is tied to like West Africa. And so I wanted to celebrate that. And that was kind of like the inspiration behind Botanica. And for those of you that are not aware what a Botanica is, they're these they're very prevalent in Latino communities. I mean, you can go to any Latino community literally in like Wisconsin. If there's a Latino community you will find a Botanica there. And Botanicas are these places, you can go there to buy spiritual things like Jesus candles and the Virgin Mary candles, but you can also go there to buy natural ingredients and herbs. Because when Latinos first immigrated to the United States, they didn't have access to healthcare. They couldn't afford a doctor. So these Botanicas were the places that they would go to buy natural herbs, to make natural teas and natural remedies to heal themselves. So that was really the inspiration behind the brand. And Aisha and I took that and kind of ran with it. We went to Botanicas as research, as inspiration, to look at their packaging, to look at, you know, what, you know, they sell in the Botanica, and we use that as our inspiration for the brand. And we're so thankful that since we've launched, like, the brand has really you know, connected with our community. A lot of people find the brand nostalgic because it reminds them of when their grandmother would drag them to this weird place that smelled like this to buy these type of herbs. And so being able to kind of create that connection to the culture and actually create products that really do work and are also affordable for the community has been amazing. And because of the relationships that Aisha has had in the industry, and because of how well I know my audience and I can relate and talk to my audience, we went into Target within a year of launching, and Walmart, which is really unheard of. But that just shows you that when two people come together that are really good at what they do, like, the opportunities are endless. And, like, you know, in the beauty industry, you don't see a lot of women coming together and uplifting each other in this way. And I'm just very thankful that Aisha and I can be an example to women everywhere. Like, look, we are stronger together. Look what happens. Look how much further we get ahead when we collaborate. So that's Botanica.
I love these two. You guys have to see them on social, by the way. They're really funny. Okay, on to the next Bonita, Gabby. Gabby, if you want to share a little bit about why you founded Mair and when.
I founded Mair in 2018. I was still working for somebody else. I was making money for somebody else, a company that I really enjoyed working at, and I really loved, and I loved my boss, and I loved everything about it, but I just knew that I wanted to build something of my own for my family. I have a very similar story, lots of Latinos do, where, you know, my family, they're immigrants from Cuba. All they know is the same, migrating from place to place and experiencing poverty. And I'm the first person to be stable, to graduate from high school, attempt college at least. And I just wanted to do something with that so badly. I wanted to really set myself up for success. I've always known that I wanted to work for myself. I've always been really independent, and I've always struggled a little bit with, like, authority and people telling me what to do. So I knew that, like, I would have to eventually, like, carve out my own lane. And then when I was working at BoxyCharm, that was the company I worked for a long time. I still have a great relationship with them. I love them, and I really credit them a lot for a lot of my growth, because I always say that I look at my time there like I was getting paid to learn. Like, every day I would come in and be like, I would try to run into my boss in the kitchen and be like, well, how is this influencer performing? What do you think is, like, the best tool right now? Like, try to find out as many things as you can, study, learn from people. I heard a quote that was like, smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And I think that that's so important. And you need to always, like, keep an ear out and just, you know, learn. And then as I, you know, kept listening and paying attention, showing up and being present, I noticed that there were so many multicultural brands emerging, but none in the Latina space that I could tell, not in the way that I wanted. Like, I wanted to create a colorful, beautiful makeup that was high quality, but that was inspired by, you know, my roots, with, like, names that it came from my country, things that would resonate with my people. I noticed that there was a lot of Black brands, like Black-owned brands coming up, like Beauty Bakery is one of my favorites. Juvia's Place, like all of these Black-owned brands that were emerging, and they were using their culture to really inspire what they made. They were making things purposefully for their community, things that worked with their undertones, things that were inspired by names that are prevalent in their community. And I thought that was so beautiful and such a good way to like connect with your community. There's also been so many people have different stigmas, like, oh, this person doesn't speak enough Spanish, this person's, you know, too light-skinned to be Latina, this person's Black, so how can it be Latina? And I wanted to kind of contribute to clear all those things up and kind of shine a light to like all the diversity in the Latina community, how different we all look. Like, I'm fair-skinned with red ass hair, and I'm as Cuban as it comes. I was born there. Like, you know, I didn't speak English till I was, you know, 4 years old, and I still struggle with my languages. So I just really wanted, all of these things started coming about, and I just really trusted my instinct that this was the time. Like, I knew, I was prepared. I had been saving money for a long time. Since I was 18, I had been saving money. So I was like, this is the time I'm gonna invest every last penny that I have into one product. I focused, and yeah, that's how Alamar started. And I'm so glad that I did that. I listened to all the signs, and I totally agree with Khadidja that it just felt like it was like destiny. Like, I felt like this is everything that I had been going through in my life was kind of leading up to like this moment where I was like, oh, this is what I can do. I started, like, everything kind of just played into this. So yeah, that's how Alamar started. It's been 2 years, and yeah, that's the story.
Beautiful. And then lastly, Khadidja, if you want to share a little bit about Kubra K and when it was founded and why.
Okay, so Kubra K is less than a year old. We launched last July. My earliest memories in skincare have always been linked to my mom, where she's from West Africa, Mali, and her mom would mix these like natural remedies, and so we passed these natural remedies down to us, and so we always smoked cocoa butter and shea butter, and she would mix all these things together to help with whatever skin concern that she had. And she's always had beautiful skin. She's like almost 60 and everyone thinks she's 30. But growing up, I never had good skin because I was basically a tomboy. Like, I played college basketball, D1 college basketball, and just like ball was life and was just like outside all the time. But I hated the way it felt when you like have really bad skin and you feel like that's all that everybody notices. So then just going through my journey of like, okay, I was an athlete, but then I just wanted good skin. It was just uncomfortable. So then as I, you know, graduated college, I think that I had this like one moment where I like discovered what my purpose is. And that was to help people find comfort and confidence in their own skin. Because I think there's something really beautiful about someone that, you know, is comfortable and just like knows who they are and owns the room. So I wanted to be able to give that back to everyone. So then I was just going through my skincare troubles, and then I think that there was a point I was like, okay, I really need to start investing. So then I started buying all kinds of products. I spent so much money on skincare, and I just wasn't getting the results that I wanted. So it was just super frustrating. So then I started doing research and just starting to understand like formulations, which helps tie into my biomedical engineering background, and just how, you know, certain chemicals work together. And then I'm an engineer too, so I was traveling for that, and I think I went to like 25 countries in like a 6-month span. So then I was already fascinated with skincare. I was like, I think this is something I want to do. But then I was traveling to these countries and picking up different like skincare tips and formulations from different villages. But it was always really interesting that the anchor of it all was to the main ingredients that my mom showed me early on. So yeah, I really felt like there was like a calling for me to do this and a passion. And, you know, I really wanted to speak to that person that just wasn't feeling confident, and I wanted to give them beautiful skin. So that's my story.
I have to say that you have such beautiful skin. I'm like staring at it the whole time.
You guys should see the routine she does. She has amazing, like she has a very intensive skincare routine that involves hand massages, like face massages, tools, and everything. You can get everything, all the scoop on Kubra K skincare. But thank you, Khadidja, for that. So now we're gonna kick it off with the personalized questions for each. So first question is going to be for Chelsi, and it goes like this. So we know you have quite a resume, right? You mentioned already that you've helped build brands, mega brands like Laura Mercier, Cover FX. You've even consulted for brands like Sunday Riley, and even a former client of ours, Farsali. What's the biggest learning experience you took away from all of these mega brands in the brand building process? And what tips do you have for our younger beauty entrepreneurs, whether they're on this panel or for those that are tuning in?
Sure. Well, first, they were not mega brands when I was there. When I started anyway, because they were small. It was year 2 at Laura Mercier when I joined in 1998. We had a DC in Dallas, and I literally was the 5th person in our Houston office. I mean, it was small. When I started, I actually worked at Sunday Riley. When I started, first day was Sunday. And I need to dig out this picture because this is one of my favorite stories. It was Sunday, her husband, myself, and we were literally putting together IKEA desk on my first day, and we were in our investor's garage. I sat next to a Fiat. I can't, and that's the beauty of startup businesses though, they weren't mega when I started, they became mega, of course. And I think the key learning in each of those brands, Cover FX too, they each had a very strong and unique point of difference. And I think that is what makes or breaks a brand. You have to think even back to Laura Mercier. Laura and our founder, Janet Gerwich, met, and Laura had an idea. She's like, I know to make makeup last, to make makeup better, have to have a foundation primer. And we're like, what? What's a foundation primer? Because there was no foundation primer on the market when Laura had this idea. And the question is, does a woman need an additional step in her makeup routine, and that was the back and forth. But really, as that brand, and as we built that brand, it was 4 steps to the flawless face: primer, foundation, concealer, powder, and hit it home. Same with Cover FX, 40 shades of foundation. We knew that the foundation market was underserved. So we had 40 shades built around undertones, so everyone could find their shades. Sunday Riley, green technology was our mantra. And of course, that was back in 2011. That was before the clean beauty movement, so really on the forefront of that. Not because we're smart or because we knew or because we had a working crystal ball. That is not. But, if you have this strong point of difference and you believe in it, and that is your passion, and you recognize it and hit it home, that's the key learning from every brand. And same with Kinko too, that we are trying to, cut through the clutter. There are tons of natural deodorants, and it has blown up in the past 18 to 24 months, that category alone. And how do we cut through the clutter? We knew we didn't want to be just another all-natural baking soda loaded deodorant. We had to attack it differently. And so that is something, as you are building your brand, no matter what stage you are, quite frankly, as you've got your idea, what's your point of difference, and how are you different from the competition? And it can't just be, well, we'll do the same thing, but instead of a tube, it's a pump. It can't be that, and I think we all know that here on this call. It has to be a very strong, differentiated story that you can really, the press, the influencers, everybody can really sink their teeth into, and really just ask yourself, does it even fill a void in the market? And if it's needed out there, like Ada, you were talking about, there was a need, there was a void in that market. And that's how, as you are building brands, that is a huge stepping stone to success.
Love that. So moving on to Aisha. Aisha, you were one of the very first Latinas, as you mentioned earlier, to get her brands into mass retail. And you have such an amazing story and just know so much about this space. And for those young beauty brands that are like asking, like, okay, I want to get into retail, how did you do it? I want you to tell us about that pivotal moment in your career when you entered these big names, and what the process was like. What are the ups and downs and the real tea that we need to know that no one else tells us about?
All right. Well, where do I begin? So I always like to tell people the grimy side of the business, because people see Ada and I on IG doing stories and they're like, oh, it's so glamorous. You're all around the world and you're traveling. When I created this brand, like so many of you, I put my all in everything. So most of us walked away from 6-figure income. I have 3 kids, a husband, first generation college student. So it was such a difficult, thing to decide, okay, that you want to do this. And I believed in myself. And, like Chelsi just said, I felt like I had something that no one else had. And I knew that it was our time. it was our time to do something, but that means nothing if you don't have the finances and the support. So I was blessed to know manufacturers and chemists and brokers and buyers, people that I've helped out in the industry came to help me. And so when I created Honey Baby Naturals, I had friends that were all there to support me, to help me. And so the first thing is you have to be ready. And so I knew that when I launched, I wasn't going to launch with 2 products cooking out of my kitchen. That wasn't going to work. I needed to have 5,000 units of each. And I know that's crazy, but that was my goal because I knew that once I pitched this thing, it was going to take off. And so I had to be ready. So I focused on having product ready, barcodes, trademarks, everything that we needed to invest in, but I had no people. I had no office. I had no overhead. My very first webpage I created doing a Wix template. I did all my regulatory, my registrations, my products, my development. Like I was so lean that I didn't sleep. It was just, me working. And I created the brand. I launched on e-commerce. I mean, literally, this is how it all happened. I launched on e-commerce. I didn't have marketing. I didn't have PR. I think I had 1,000 followers. 1,000 followers, which these are just like friends from high school and people that I knew from my kids. My own social media, I still only have 5,000. I didn't do social media. I wasn't a blogger. I wasn't an influencer. I didn't have YouTube, unlike Gabby and Ada, who already had this huge following of people. I just felt like I had a great product. So, I'm pushing forward. I'm selling. It was so difficult. I was so damn broke. And I was selling all my designer clothes and all my fancy stuff on eBay to make money to live. I was just hustling. I'm from Gary, Indiana, and that's what we know and that's what we do. And so anyway, started selling online, barely making money, shipping everything out of my apartment. I worked from home out of my condo for 3 years. I live downtown Chicago. I have 3 kids and we had Honey Baby stacked up to the roof. It was just insane. And I cried many a nights because I was loading up our truck at a Buick Enclave and I was driving to South Carolina. We drove to Atlanta. We drove to Philly with the kids. And I was hustling product out of the back of my car. That's how I paid my bills. I remember one time we drove to Atlanta and I didn't even know I was going to pay for a hotel because it was just like I had maxed out everything that I have. So anyway, fast forward, I'm like, wow, did I make the best decision? This is so difficult. And I sent a few of my products off to Naturally Curly and a few other bloggers, people that I knew. And we won best shampoo, best conditioner, best leave-in, best emerging brand, best kids brand for every hair category. And then I get that call. And my distributor that I was working with said, hey, Aisha, we got a Target meeting. I said, what? I only have 1,000 followers. This brand was just started. I was in such disbelief. And anyone who knows me knows that I live my life with no fear. I can take on any challenge, be on any stage, do anything. I am not afraid. I just don't have nerves. I just feel like, what's the worst that could happen? Someone can say no. But when I got that Target meeting, it was just like a dream of mine. God, I'm going to have a product that belongs to me that's in retail. I was nervous as hell. And I remember I went to Minneapolis. I have no team. I'm just me. And I go to Minneapolis and, Ada, she went with me the second time, so she understands it, but I had no one. I go to fly to Minneapolis. I'm sweating. I sweat profusely. So I need Chelsi to try some of your deodorant because I am a natural sweater. And I'm sitting in the car and I was like, I cannot believe I just created this brand and I'm sitting in Minneapolis and I'm getting ready to walk into a Target presentation and I don't even know what I'm going to tell these people because it was Honey Baby. It's this brand in honey bottles and jars and it says Honey Baby and they don't get it. I'm Latina. There's never been any products for Latina women in the multicultural section for textured hair. And so anyway, so I'm nervous and I go in there, you get 15 minutes, you guys, if that. There's a room full of buyers and then I'm walking in, I'm seeing people from the industry that I know and they have 5 people, they have formal presentations and they have teams and they're like, Aisha, what are you doing here? Because people didn't really know what I was doing at the time. They knew me from the industry, but they didn't know I was launching my own brand. And they're like, damn, didn't you just come out a few months ago? What are you doing here? And I go in this room and I'm so nervous and the buyers are picking up my product. Oh, you got that bling. I'm dropping the bling. They're picking up my products. They're like, oh, this is cute. What is it? Who is it for? What does it do? Is it for babies? Is it for men? Is it for women? Is it for adults? Is it for black? Is it for white? And I'm like, damn, back up. And so anyway, it was nerves. And I had 15 minutes to sell the story of why we need this product. And that was how these meetings go. And I walked out of there and I called my husband and I said, Greg, hey, Greg, I don't know what just happened. I don't know if I'm going to get in. I don't know if I killed it. And I usually do know because it was so new and it was so different. And I got the phone call when we got it. So it's just like, you know, I tell people, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? They can say no. And, you know, the most important step is getting that meeting. You know, I was grinding, I was persistent. I reached out to every industry contact, you know, letting them know my story. And I walked in there feeling like I had something that was going to change people's lives, that was going to make a difference in our category. And everything just moved quickly. We got into Target, and then immediately we got in, I mean, we were in Mair's, Bed Bath & Beyond. And then we got into Walmart, then we got into Sally Beauty, then we got in, I mean, it's just like a ripple effect. People see the need for the industry. And now, I mean, we're in every mass retailer. Our biggest retailer is Sally Beauty. I started with 7 products. We have 4 hair products, 3 body products, because it was really about, and this honey thing is like, I think I started the trend with the honey. It was my grandmother's secret. I wanted food grade. I wanted ingredients. I'm an engineer. I'm a scientist. It helps with psoriasis, dry skin. So anyway, we started this trend, and so many brands have come out with the same story, and I feel like, dang, I created something. So anyway, you know, I'm blessed to be in a situation to, you know, now we have brand awareness, but it all started from my apartment, from my computer, and walking to that first meeting, not knowing what's going to happen. And then I look at all you ladies here today, and I'm just like, wow, we are really opening up the space and changing it. So when Khadidja and Gabby and Chelsi, when you guys have that first meeting, we're here to support you. And that's what it takes. It takes a team and a village.
Well said, Aisha. I love hearing that story over and over again. All right, and Ada, so we're gonna go on to you. You know, being the beauty blogger and influencer here. So you went from beauty blogging, beauty influencing, to now becoming a brand founder and owner of, your very own hair care line. What's the biggest advice that you may have for today's beauty content creators that aspire to one day own their brand? And how did you find your niche? I mean, we kind of discussed how you're owning your niche, but what advice do you have for those content creators?
You don't even realize the power that you have as an influencer. And if your mind is set on like, I want to build my own brand, this is, you need to take this and run with it. You need to, the fact that number one, you are building credibility with your audience from the jump is incredible, because Aisha doesn't know this. I don't think I've ever told her this, but before I met her, I was really like serious about launching this brand. And I went to like a packaging conference. I had no idea I just saw it on Google. I was like, I'm going to learn about packaging. Like, I had no money. But I didn't know this side of the business, but I'm naturally curious. So I'm like, people are going to ask me what the hell I'm doing there, but I just want to learn. Like, I just want to learn because I want to put it out there to the universe that like, I really want to have my own brand. And I remember I couldn't even afford the ticket to go because these industry conferences and things are really expensive. So I actually signed up as press. Like, I signed up that I was going to write about it on my blog, and that's how I got to go for free. So I went to this class. I was all about like making your product and bringing it to life. And I learned so much in that class. And afterwards, I of course, like the teacher's pet that I am, I stayed outside to talk to the instructor that was there. And I was telling her at the time, the product idea that I had is I wanted to make like bar soaps for curly hair that you can take on your travels, because I had worked on a cruise ship, and one of my suitcases was just full of hair products to take with me to work on the ship. So anyways, I had told her like, well, I have this blog and blah, blah. And right there, she was like, wait a minute. Do you realize like what's going on here? And I'm like, no. And she's like, everyone that took my class today, they don't have an audience. They're creating a product and then they have to find an audience to sell it to. You already have the audience. All you have to do is make the product. You bypass so many steps. Your journey is going to be so much easier because you built this audience that trusts you. So when you create the product, like you're going to have customers immediately because you have built this trust, and whatever you create, they're trusting you that you did it to the best of your abilities. And when she told me that, it's like she was absolutely right. So I didn't know how I was going to launch this brand. From that point until I met Aisha, I was doing market research. I was talking to my audience, like, what do you guys feel like is missing in the industry? And I would put up like random polls on my stories, and I'm sure no one thought anything of it. But little did they know that I was using all the feedback that they were giving me to kind of craft this story. So when I met Aisha, I feel like the process of creating a brand was a lot more smoother, because I already had been digging in and talking to my audience about what they felt was missing and what they wanted to see in the category. So please know that you have a huge advantage over so many other brands, because you are building an audience, and when you launch your product, it's just going to make it that much easier. So now, because of the trust that I created with my audience, and I delivered with Botanica. The other day I got a DM from someone saying like, girl, I'm giving you a standing ovation because I knew your product was going to be good. You always deliver, but you really over deliver with this product. Like, I'm obsessed, and that's what it's all about. So like, guess what? Any other brands that me and Aisha launch, we're good to go, because we've already built that credibility with our community. So please take the time to really, tap into your community and solve a problem for them. That's what you're here to do. You need to be recommending the best stuff. You need to be authentic in everything that you do and build that relationship so that the trust is there. And no matter what product you come out with, the trust is there, so they know that it's gonna be good. So please take advantage of these platforms. Social media has changed the game for every industry. And if your goal is to launch a brand, you need to be developing that audience and getting them ready for that product launch that's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen.
Thank you, Ava. Gabby, so moving on to you for the next question. How have you infused your cultural background and making it known within Alamar's brand identity, right? You're very big on celebrating tu cultura, culture, and why do you think that's so important for future brand creators and founders? How has your motto, celebrating culture, worked to your advantage?
I think that it has worked to my advantage, and it's been, well, first of all, I think it's just helped me build a more personal connection with the people who follow me, because from the beginning, the people that have followed me, the people that I have attracted over time, I think your vibe attracts your tribe. That's very true. And just naturally, over the last couple of years, I have attracted a lot of like-minded Latinas like myself, who, just like Ala said, were ready for something unique and different. They were makeup lovers, but it's almost like they've always been using other people's makeup. Since the beginning of time, all of the popular brands have always, for the majority, have always been, European, Caucasian brands that kind of go after that standard of beauty, and the super thin nose, and all of these Eurocentric visions of what beauty is like. And I just noticed that so many of the people that follow me and so many of the Latinas in my own network didn't look like that, but they loved makeup. They loved to experiment with makeup, and I just was really inspired to do it. So I keep the culture always woven through whatever I do by making sure that I name my products after things that resonate with Latinas, make sure that I keep Latina skincare in mind. Latinas struggle with, hyperpigmentation and different skin concerns. Our undertones can tend to be different. We have more golden, more olive. It's just, we can range from so many different skin tones, and I just wanted to make sure that all of our products were inclusive. So even from our lip glosses, we make, soon it's going to be 6 lip glosses, and they're all with complexion at their core. Every single one is a nude, but each nude is based for a different skin tone. So one of our nudes is literally a deep chocolate brown, because it's meant for Latinas with deep chocolate brown skin. So I've always kept that messaging really, really strong, and always kept the communication. Just like Ala said, you need to use your audience as your focus group. What do they like? Get their feedback. How do you guys feel? Feel it out. You need to really put yourself into the community that you are wanting to sell to, so that you can be one of them. And that way, when you create stuff, that when you speak to them, it resonates with you, it's gonna resonate with them. And I think that's been my biggest point of difference. Well, I think I have 2 very strong points of differences. One of them being the fact that I am a cultural brand, that I do celebrate my culture constantly through what I make and with the content that I put out, but also that our stuff is extremely high quality. I make all of my products very, very, very high quality ingredients.
Girl, your bronzer, that's what I have on right now. This obsessed with the bronzer.
I'm so proud of our stuff, guys. I really, really am. And I keep our products so affordable. Our 3 pillars are bueno, bonito, barato, which is good stuff, beautiful stuff at an affordable price. And that is really what we stand for.
Thank you, Gabby. And yeah, no, Gabby, I've seen her grow in just not even 2 years. We're going to ask one of the next questions later on about building your social media presence, because they've done a great job. But thank you, Gabby, for sharing all of that. That was amazing. So moving on to Khadidja. So let's continue to build on culture, right? We love talking about culture. I think that this is like the time that everyone is looking, like our lens are more focused now on how do we continue to build, like celebrate everyone's identity and everyone's culture. And your brand is inspired by your West African roots and your mother's beauty traditions. So what do you want? I know you just started out less than a year ago. But I know you're very big on that, and we want to know, how do you want what do you want your consumer to take away from your brand, and how has this inspired your product creation process?
Yes. So I know that, like, for most people, I don't know about me, like my mom always gives me advice, and it's one of those things where you don't really listen until you're like, wow, that was something I really should have held on to. So a lot of the like early skincare things that she would show me was like turmeric and cocoa butter and all of those kind of things. It was really anchored in my skincare experience. My mom, my grandma, my aunts have the most flawless skin. And although it wasn't the case for me that I had this like amazing flawless skin, and it's something that I struggled with, a lot of the like ingredient anchors that I had were inspired by my West African roots. So I went there last year and just going to see shea butter. Like you'll see in a lot of beauty supply stores and stuff like that, that shea butter is yellow. Well, it's actually not yellow, it's supposed to be white, and same with cocoa butter. So really sitting down and educating on myself and like really, engulfing myself in the culture and what is skin and what is beauty, based off of not just what I've been around growing up in the United States, but within the West African culture. It was beautiful. And then as I was continuing to travel the world, like I said before, like I would go to these small villages. So I went to India and I went to Chennai, and I would go and like they'd have beautiful skin as well. So they'd use like cocoa butter and like turmeric. And then in Thailand, they're really big on like pear. In Sri Lanka, it was cinnamon. So yes, it's inspired by my West African roots, but it's also influenced by different components from around the world. And that became like the anchor for what I wanted to create. But I think on top of that too, I wanted to have 3 things when we were creating Kubra K. The first is that they were biocompatible moisturizers. You don't want to get a moisturizer and it doesn't really mix well with the natural chemistry of your skin. So that was definitely the biggest thing, because it helps with the efficiency and efficacy of your moisturizer. The second thing is that we wanted it to be luxe. Like the moisturizer is whipped, I feel like, to perfection. That formula, we were working on it for over a year, and I was super picky. I sent it back so many times, but I knew what I was missing in my skincare routine, and I feel like just having a basic, really luxurious but inexpensive moisturizer was the biggest thing. And then we just didn't want any of like the sulfates, parabens. We wanted it to be vegan and cruelty-free and all of that kind of stuff. So those are like the 3 pillars that were established, but Kubra K is West African through and through.
I love that. And just FYI, in June, we will be, I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's Acne Awareness Month, and we are going to be doing a very big sort of social campaign on this on the Kubra K page. And I know you're very big on skincare, and you've shown before and afters because Khadidja has suffered from acne and whatnot. So, we love hearing her story and how she really worked on something that she saw that was missing on her end for skincare, and it really actually worked, right? Because Kubra K does help with clearing out acne and whatnot. So again, I just wanted to throw that in there because we're just about to enter the month of June, and we're going to be promoting that heavily. So again, thank you, Khadidja, for sharing that with us. So back to Chelsi. We want to chat product development, because I know that's also a very hot topic for everyone here. And we know you're behind some of the most exciting launches, and you're the brain behind even packaging and product names. I know, trust me, I know she's been behind some of these awesome launches. So where does the creativity come from? And what do you advise those that want to build their brand get their inspiration from? And also, if you could share maybe a few tidbits on like what the cost factors are tied to packaging, that would be amazing.
Remind me if I forget that part, but okay.
Okay,
cool. Where does creativity come from? Everywhere, the world around us, right? And I think, but where it really comes for me is that I listen. I'm a good listener. And actually a lot of people have told me that over in my career. They're like, oh, you're a really good listener. But that's where, because I love to hear people speak and I love to hear the words they use when describing it. I'll just say, how would you describe whatever idea for a product I have? How would you describe this? And hear them speak and hear them talk. And, and that's a lot of times when I have a light bulb come on, because I'll hear a word, and I'm like, that's the word, or just because someone's just talking, just la 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 la. But also sometimes I just internalize all that, and it's really when I'm thinking of and a lot of times too, also I take notes. I'm a writer. If things are not written down for me, it's not real. I know I don't have my calendar on my phone. I have a notepad that's literally sitting right here by my computer because I write everything down, because then it's real. If I put my children's program in my phone, I won't be there because it's not real. So I listen and I write and just take notes. I'm not a writer, I just take notes, chicken scratch. But then when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm cooking, when I'm doing really mundane things, for me, that's when the light bulbs start to, and things start to click. And I'm like, oh, hey, we have a product called X, and if it's in the same line, we could do this, and it's just kind of a linear process. It's not anything earth-shattering or genius, for sure. That is not the case. It's quite the opposite. But I think definitely listening is key to creativity. And it is for me anyway, in coming up with product names and packaging, and then the cost of packaging. Of course, there's always this idea, right? And especially in marketing, and now as a co-founder, okay, we've got an idea, okay, but it's the gunk inside, as we would call it, the gunk industry. It's a very formal term. The gunk inside, and then you have the package, and it all has to go together. And these days, packaging is so important to the consumer for a couple of different ways. They want it to be luxe. They want it to look beautiful in their vanity. However, we also now have to take into account either biodegradability, sustainability, recyclability, and actually a lot of those things don't add up yet. The packaging industry has been a little slow in coming into this. I'm sure I see all the nods. They've been a little slow in coming into this whole clean movement. The gunk has been there, the ingredients have been there, the packaging has not. And it's coming, but having been in this industry so long, it's expensive for a couple of different reasons. Because of those things, they haven't caught up, and we do want sustainability, and there's limited supply, there's limited options. So that's number one, which obviously jacks up the price. But also too, when the recession happened in 2008, it kind of killed the way the packaging industry worked. Yes, I'm that old. I've been around since before Laura Mercier had a website. You have to think about that in those terms. But anyway, I'm like, oh, did I just say that? But I mean, it's true. So before 2008, in the recession in 2008, a new company could go meet with the packaging, the big houses or small houses, and you'd be on net 30 terms. Of course, you might have to deal with your MOQs, 5, 10,000, 25,000 is a lovely minimum order quantity, which is a hard pill to swallow for small brands. But at least you had net 30 terms, right? Because you can at least get some money back before you had to pay them. Since 2008, all that was scratched because a lot of packaging houses did get burned. Totally get it. We're now, as young beauty brands, and not that they don't trust us, so it's not coming from a malicious place, but everything is, we have to pay up front 100% before they ever ship the first order, right? And that for young brands is killer, because we're not getting those sales where we can trade the money, right? The timing of the cash flow doesn't work in our favor. So that's, and again, it's not coming from a malicious place. I was there in 2008. I totally get why they did it. But it makes it really hard for young brands from that packaging way.
And going back to some of the fun stuff that you've done in the past with all these other brands that you've worked with, can we know maybe a few products that you've been behind that, like, any cool launches that like really called out to you, like, oh my God, this is my favorite launch, like as far as a product launch, whether it was at Laura, Sunday?
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, the most proud two products, quite frankly, or maybe collection, let's say, that I've had in my career was actually at Cover Effects, when we did custom cover drops, and then we did the custom enhancer drops, and then followed by the custom infusion drops, and just the whole customization trend, number one, because actually Actually, it was more like Khadidja. And actually Khadidja's mother, because my mother loves skincare too, and that's who taught me my love of skincare. But I would pop vitamin E pills into my creams and do different things and mix lotions and potions because it's fun for me. And that's personally what I love. And so I have been dying to do boosters, concentrates of some sort. And the idea actually came from, I wanted to, because Cover FX, we had a great ingredient story in our foundations, vitamin F, A, C, E, magically they spell face, how convenient. But I was like, can we just bottle up vitamin F? Can we bottle up vitamin A? Can we bottle up the C, bottle up the E, and make it pure? So then I can, we can all like be our own little chemists in our bathrooms. And I'll never forget my CEO and I were in New York at a meeting with a lab, and we were working on our concentrates of these vitamins. But all of a sudden we're like, what if we put pure pigment into the bottle? We're like, oh my gosh, because then you can make your own foundation and then you can adjust the shade. And we only played in the face category, so reinventing the face category was already a challenge for me anyway. And that's kind of how it happened, and truly set that customization trend on its way, and also the boosters and the concentrates on its way. And here we have the Ordinary, we have the Inculus, we have so many brands who are now in existence because of that, and doing really well. And I love that because it really was a need out there. It was a void, like I said earlier, but it's also just fun. That's also too, it's just so cool. And then of course, once custom cover drops took off, it was a natural evolution. I'm like, well, let's do the same thing, but let's do bronzers. The illuminators at the time. We did bronzers later too, but it was an illuminating moment. Everybody had their highlighters on, and so we put a concentrated liquid highlighters in these bottles too that you can mix, match, do your own, and crazy pigmented. And it just took off, and the influencers loved it. And then that was it. Once the influencers love it, that's all you need, right? I'm most proud of that.
That is so cool. I remember this campaign. I remember these products so clearly. The really like beaming liquid highlights that everybody was obsessed with. The custom like thin drops of foundation. That was like revolutionary for makeup artists, because you don't have to invest in 40 foundations. You could buy a couple of the drops and customize even a moisturizer. That's brilliant. That is so cool. And that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
No, absolutely. Oh my gosh, it was a good time. It was fun. And let me be very clear, it was a team.
True story. I actually met Chelsi when Custom Cover Drops was in the middle of launching. So I had the opportunity to meet her there, launch Custom Cover Drops, be part of the mailer. I remember it was a very intricate launch because we had to it required a lot of education, but it was different. And going back to being unique and owning that, that made them different and made them stand out. So yeah,
I got a mailer from you, Danielle, for that launch.
Yes,
I vividly remember. So congrats on that. I was one of the influencers that was like, you need this. This is an amazing product. Because I love tinted moisturizers, but all the ones on the market were wax. So the fact that I could mix my favorite moisturizer with the drops and make my own was incredible. So thank you for.
And so full circle, it's so funny. I don't think Danielle, you don't even know this, but makeup is my first love. And I took a job, I went from an engineering job to running the makeup counter for NARS at Nordstrom so I could learn makeup. And I remember when Cover Our FX launched, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool and innovative. So it's really about bringing innovation, and people realize it and see it. And so working behind the scenes sometimes really helps you come up with great and new ideas, because you're getting exposed to so many different things.
It's so true. It's so true. And never be scared either. And I don't know, it's like I said at the beginning of the call, I've had my entire career in Houston, Texas. And when I was at Laura Mercier, Janet Gerwich used to always say, who was the founder and CEO, she's like, we're never moving to New York because I don't want to be influenced by what the rest of the guys are doing, And so we would just live down here in our little, very hot and humid bubble.
No, but this is awesome. See, that's why I wanted Chelsi to speak about this. And you just brought me back to what was that, the year 2016 maybe, when Custom Cover Drops came out? 2015. 15, yeah. So
remember we went to LA and we did that great cooking class with Claudia,
Chef Claudia Sandoval. So we did, yes.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Yes. But thank you, Chelsi, for that. So moving on, so building on what product packaging is, I actually specifically thought of Ada for this question because Ada has talked about this in previous panels about packaging. She's shared funny stories like, oh my gosh, she wants to put Botanica mousse and all in her gels and all her beautiful products and like this lovely packaging. But then when Aisha gave her the whole reality check, like, girl, do you know how expensive this is? Obviously, things had to take a different route. So Ada, building on the product packaging piece, you shared that it's expensive. What did you not know that you wish you would have learned earlier on about beauty packaging? And what would you advise any beauty entrepreneur here when it comes to this topic? And also anything that you can also share due to COVID. I know a lot of younger brands are suffering right now with packaging, and how are you managing and adjusting to these current times?
I feel like this whole past years that I've been working with Aisha, she's checking me left and right, reality checks, because
I'm trying to check you right now to make sure you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so as a consumer, you do not think about, well, how much did that cap cost? You just don't think about it. You're like, it's cute, I love it, it looks good on my vanity, and blah, blah, blah. But when you're a business owner, how much that cap costs makes a huge difference. And how much are you going to sell the product for now? What are your profit margins? I mean, like, so much. And I always say this, but I'm really serious. Like, Aisha has put me through Aisha Crump University, and I am like still learning so much, because I remember when we were working on the packaging, like Danielle said, I wanted like wooden tops, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, come here, let me show you something really quick. And she did the math and like calculated how much wooden tops we're going to order and how much that order was going to come out to. And I was like, oh, I'm just kidding. I don't want those tops anymore. Like, it's not happening. I get it. And so, there's certain things that you have to sacrifice. And for me, the most important thing about the product was that the product was really good and that it was affordable, because there's so many products on the market right now. And I remember like being a college student with only $20, and you have to decide, am I going to buy, food, or am I going to buy hair product? Cause I need to do my hair. And it's like, you only have $20. Okay. If the product is $10 to $12, I can buy a hair product, and then I can use the rest to buy ramen noodles, and I got both, right? So that was, what my thinking with Botanica. I really wanted the products to be great and affordable, and I can't do that if I put a wooden cap on it. Like, that's gonna, the profit margins and just the cost of everything, it's not gonna work. So I had a setup for a packaging that wasn't necessarily my favorite. Like, it's more like stock packaging, but then it gives you the opportunity to get really creative with the labels and really put your spin on it. So like, I think a lot of times as small businesses, we get in our heads because we don't have the resources that we wish we had to bring the products that we want to bring them to life in the way that we see it in our head. But it also gives you the opportunity to really get creative and be like, okay, well, what can you do with what you have? And I think that's the beauty in what we do. So I have learned, like, oh my God, like, packaging has just, like, I've learned so much from Aisha. And even, during COVID, like, our supply chain has been affected, because 24 weeks on a freaking mousse bottle is insane. Like, and our mousse, for example, is our #1 selling product. So the fact that we would have to wait 24 weeks to get just a bottle, it's ridiculous. So again, because of Aisha's experience in the industry and all the contacts and connects that she had, she was able to call around to her other brand owners and say, hey, like, I'm out of mousse bottles. Do you have this size? What can we do? And literally, like, the founder of Design Essentials has sent us mousse bottles, right? Mixed Chicks, we needed caps. We got caps. So it's like, imagine if Aisha didn't have these connections though, and she didn't have these resources, like, we would really be ass out, how we say over here. So, I'm just really thankful again for all the connections and the resources. And I really try to amplify all the things that I'm learning on my social media platform, because this is something that as a consumer, you don't think about. And so, whenever I learn these things from Aisha, and she makes fun of me all the time because I'm always on my stories, and I'm like, no, we have to film this to put this on Instagram. And she doesn't understand, but I'm like, no, it's really important for the consumer to be aware of what's going on, because then their mind is going to shift. They're going to see things differently. And and we need them to understand the plight that we're going through as small business owners. And so like I just posted, a video about basically what's been going on with us during COVID, and the reaction to it was amazing. People loved it. And like education is really important. So use your social platform to educate your consumers on things that you find boring. Like nobody's gonna care about packaging and how much this costs and how we're affected. You'll be surprised at how invested the customer and consumer is in your story and in your journey, whether it's good or bad. I didn't think that anyone would care about our damn packaging, and now they're like, wow, thank you so much for sharing the behind the scenes. So thank you, Aisha, for educating me so that I can educate my audience, because those wooden tops, they're cute, but they're not gonna work for the budget, okay?
And I feel like everybody else here can also relate to that, and that's why I wanted to share that, because yeah, one thing is like, oh my god, I want a beautiful product, but when it comes to actually looking into it and doing the research, and you get the wake-up call, right? So thank you for sharing.
Do you have beautiful product money? Do you have McDonald's money?
High-end products that we splurge on, that we just do it because we know them, we think we trust them, and we're paying for packaging. The formula will be just like a drugstore or just like whatever, and you're paying. And that to me I don't like that. I don't want to spend my money on something that's just gonna get thrown out. So I'm the same way. I use paper packaging whenever I can. I try to use, keep everything in more design printed, but keep the material as cheap as possible so that my customer can have the best product inside.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gabby, while I have you, because the next question is for you, and I wanted to touch upon social media. So some of us hate it, some of us love it. For those, the influencers obviously rely heavy on social media. And I mean, it's an obvious, like even to what Ada was just saying, like social media is the best platform to really advertise and push for your brand. And I really wanted to give this question to Gabby, because Gabby, again, she launched her brand in 2018, and in less than 2 years, she's been able to build an audience of over 100,000 followers, right? You're maybe like at 160K right now, around there. I think the last
about to hit 170.
Woo! I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you're very invested in your social media, and I know you have a small team. I've met every single one of them. They're amazing, young, talented people. So I want you to share with the audience, about your social media experience and what kind of strategies you are applying to Alamar, and what would you advise others to do when it comes to.
I feel like I was blessed and fortunate that social media is something I'm comfortable with, because when I worked for my previous employer, I worked at Bota, even though he was a 40-year-old man, his greatest and like most, I would say one of his biggest skills is social media. He understands it very well. And he, like I said, I would pick his brain at every chance I would get. So I kind of started to figure out what but it's ever changing. It's always changing. So you always have to be watching out for that explore page. What are people posting? Who are you got to check Social Blade all the time to see which influencers are growing and which ones are not. So you can see, okay, so maybe this type of content is what's really picking up. It's a constant checking in on your strategy, making sure it's still working. What we like to do is to make sure we're staying on trend, that we're using things and, staying with what people like, and we're posting the type of content that's doing well at that time. And also I would say that it's super important. The most important thing, just like everything else, is consistency. I haven't gone one day since I launched Alamar that we don't post, because it's like they have to know that they're coming back to something. So I'm not that good with my personal page, to be honest. I have my own, my personal makeup artist account that I've had since I was 18 when Instagram first launched. And I've had that one even longer. I've had that account like 8 years, and I have 50K. And then my Alamar account that I've had 2 years, I have 100K. And that is a testament to the consistency, the constantly trying to do giveaways. You need to do giveaways with other brands that you think might have like-minded audiences. So like we teamed up with INH Hair. They're a hair brand, but they're also very trendy, very Gen Z, millennial, that lines up with our age group. So crossover giveaways are really, really, really important. Sending product to influencers as much as you can, and just being like, hey, we'll send this to you and we guarantee, like, we'll repost you. I'm always looking for like the new trendy content, like the people that do like the close-up shots, the really macro images, that's doing really well. So you'd be surprised, like for our latest campaign that we have coming up soon, I didn't take any of my own pictures in-house. I sent it out to a ton of influencers. I sent them some guidelines, like, hey, I would love for you to create 5 content pieces for this budget. And I was able to get like 10 different influencers, content creators, different skin tones, different types of content, pay them each individually so they get to make money during this time without me having to hire my own photographer, videographer, all of that. And I'm getting all of this content from them at a better price. And it's just like, you got to always be adjusting and thinking about it and reaching out. But yeah, I think that it is super important. But now I'm kind of trying to diversify. I've put a lot of attention into Instagram, which has really, really paid off. But I really want to like diversify my social medias, because you never know. You can't put all of your eggs into Instagram, because Instagram can close down tomorrow and your company's gone. So you have to make sure that you're present in omni channels and outside of that. Now I'm trying to work on my ads, and it's a growing process. So yeah, I think Instagram has been an important one for me. But I would say to end it, consistency. You will grow if you keep posting all the time. It's guaranteed. And stories are super duper important. I would say at least one feed post and like 6 story slides a day, and you will see growth.
And I feel like a lot of and I think, I mean, between Ada and Gabby, like consumers right now, they really love that personal connection when they see a face, like the beauty founders speaking. And I feel like now, even more than ever during COVID, I've seen a lot more beauty founders get in camera, because they have to do the IG live. They have to keep their consumer connected and up to date with what's going on. So I think, social media can be used well to your advantage for those that are tuning in. You guys know, but just know that, it's consistent. Consistency is always key. I think that applies to everything that you do, not just social media, but everything. If you believe in an idea, stay consistent, and people will come along and follow your dream. But thank you for that, Gabby. All right, so we're almost about to wrap up, and then we'll open the Q&A. So we have 2 more questions. Khadidja, you carry 2 hustles, right? You mentioned you are a biomedical engineer, and for those that don't know, she has another full-time aside from Kubra K. So you have 2 hustles. So product engineer by day, beauty founder by night. How do you find the time to juggle both jobs? And what do you recommend for those that, still have to pursue their full time and want to still also work on their side project? What is your advice?
Yeah, so I think one thing that really prepared me was playing D1 basketball and being an engineer at the same time. That was like, the time management had to be next level. So I think that there's a difference between spreading yourself too thin and then making sure that you're managing your time well. So I'm someone that is really big on, like Chelsi said, writing things down, using a planner, and then just making sure that every week I have a list of action items that I want to get accomplished. But I think that also you have to be careful about checking in with yourself and that you're not burning yourself out. So there are some days where it's like, okay, I don't have the energy to commit to Kubra K today, and I want to do it when I'm in a really good, happy headspace. So there are some days where it's like, okay, this has to, get pushed back to tomorrow. But I think just the key is really making sure that you're organized and, that you are, I'm really list oriented and like try to plan the things that I need to get done within the week. So that, okay, if Tuesday it was a really long day at work, I know, okay, well then maybe tomorrow or Thursday I can get it done. So just really budgeting in your time and also checking in with yourself to make sure you're not burning yourself out.
Moving on to Aisha with kind of the same question, except you're a mompreneur, right? You mentioned you have 3 beautiful kids and you keep your family very involved with what you do. You shared in past interviews that, when you were just starting out, your kids would travel with you all across the country for all the trade shows that you have to attend and whatnot. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, you're teaching them something. And I know that being a mompreneur is very important to you. So coming from a mom's perspective, from a mommy side, for those mommies that are tuning in here, how do you juggle both? And how does your role as a mother inspire the work that you do?
So everything I do is for my children and to lead by example. Like Ada's around our family, and like my babies I call them my babies still. They're 17, 14, and soon to be 13, so 12. And they're my life, they're my everything. But I'm so different than Khadidja. So people would meet me and be like, oh my God, you have 3 companies, 3 kids, a husband, a mother-in-law. Mr. Manning, my father wants to call me every day. And Danielle, you've been around me, and my family is really demanding as well. I don't write down anything. Like, it's the weirdest thing. I just love everything that I do so much. Like, I just know my priorities, like where I have to be. I'm just always on. I never turn off. And that's a problem, Khadidja, because I think I don't do self-care enough, and I need to be better at it. But it's so important because, like, even now during COVID, I've never been in the office this much. We are here sometimes, you guys seen our videos, 12-hour days. And, you know, I feel like guilty. I'm like, but, you know, my kids are actually happy that I'm not home with them. They're teenagers, so it's a little different, but making them a part of every process. So now my son is actually getting ready to go to college. He's going to work with us for the next 2 months. He's been working with us. My daughters are actually in the process of creating their brand. Came from them, their ideas, they're inspired. They're always around us. So making your children feel like they're such a big part of the business and understanding that everything that you do is for them. There's no resentment. And I'm also on the school LSC. You know, my son's a rapper. I'm a rap mom. My daughters are swimmers and dancers. I'm always in everything. And I know you can spread yourself too thin, but I love it. Like, I love being a mom first, more than anything else in my life, more than being a businesswoman, more than anything. I love being a mom, and everything that I do is for them. So a lot of women say, you know, can you be an entrepreneur and be a mother? Absolutely. They go hand in hand. And, you know, take them along with you. So they see, when they started working trade shows with me, they were like, dang, this is hard work. This is why you don't answer the phone when I call you. You know, and so they appreciate the money that we make. How much money did you just make off of that? Like, we would have competition to see who could sell the most at a trade show, and they would get paid, you know? And so just making the kids be a part of your business, understanding, I mean, I'm so proud of them that they want to launch their own products. And so we're working on that now, and being able to have, and Chelsi, I was going to tell you this, you know, I created Beauty Loft so that when I hear stories like that about purchasing power and collective buying, Ada and I do everything together now. And so we're stronger. And hopefully, Gabby, I would love to work with you, and Khadidja, all of us together, purchasing power, terms, freight, trade shows. So it's all about a together. So the way that I manage my family is the way that with our businesses, we can be stronger together. And that's the most important thing, is taking your family on the journey, letting them understand and being a part of it. And you guys are my family too.
Oh my God. Anytime that you want to hang out with me, Aisha, I'm there. I feel like your energy is so positive and you are so hardworking that it makes me want to step up. And I love that.
Oh, thank you. And it's just like, you know, I think last week. Huh?
Yeah, the last time we had the panel, I left with like a fire under my butt. I'm like, okay, if she, like, I need to step it up. Like, I am slacking.
No, God. And you know, I wanted to mention this because, and someone mentioned this earlier. So you guys heard my story. I'm born and raised Gary, Indiana. And my name is Aisha. That is my God-given name. I'm the only one in my family that doesn't have a Spanish name. I don't have curly hair. You know, I wasn't blessed with very curly. My hair is wavy and fine. So I grew up my whole life not being Latina enough. And I speak Spanish, but English was my first language. I was born here. My parents were actually born here. I'm third generation. Majority of the friends I grew up with were African American. So I wasn't Black enough. I wasn't Puerto Rican enough. I wasn't Latina enough. I wasn't white. I wasn't anything. So I was like this odd person. And so this week when we got the feature in Somos for Refinery 29, and you know, I'm like, wow, we have a Latina movement, and I'm a part of it. It felt so good because my whole life people said, well, why do you talk that way? Why is your name Aisha? We're always judged. And so like to be alongside with you ladies doing amazing things, like this is why I do what I do. And like we come together and build this greatness that is happening right now. And you guys understand we're pioneers. And what we're doing is so great. And I cannot wait to see in the next 5 years and 10 years where this industry is headed. And you guys are all a major. And Danielle, your firm is amazing. And I'm so glad to be a Bonita.
You guys.
That's the mama in me, you guys. That's the mama in me. I've been a mom for 17 years.
You guys just made my week. Honestly, I am so happy that we were able to do this panel. And it's honestly an honor to have each and every single one of you be a part of this. And the diversity here is, you know, the one thing if you guys know me well, you guys know that this is what I advocate for 100%. So I'm really happy that we were able to come together and do this, like, you know, for the community, for those that are tuning in, for everybody here, like, thank you from the bottom of my heart, from Charlotte, Star and her team. Like, we're very appreciative. So before we wrap up completely, I do want to enter into the Q&A, and I believe Charlotte wanted to jump in with 2 questions. So Charlotte, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you. That was really great. I just feel like I've been to beauty school. That was really, really interesting. I think one of my friends was WhatsApping me going, engineering into beauty, like brilliant, just really, really interesting. And I think not what people would expect, which is exactly what we wanted to do today. Quick question for Gabby. You said about if Instagram closed down tomorrow, that would be your business. So what other platforms do you think startups coming through, because I guess we kind of had the Facebook wave, then we've had the Instagram, we've had Twitter. Where do you think people should be balancing out spending their time alongside Instagram to grow an audience, to grow sales, fans?
Yeah, I think that's super important. I would say I'm actually confident that just as strong as my Instagram platform is for my brand is my email list. Your email list is so important. Those are people that are literally directly coming to your site. They're giving you a personal piece of their life where you can always reach them. Now I've also built up my text marketing. I started working with an SMS plugin to my Shopify where we're collecting cell phone numbers so that I can send gifts and funny memes and keep the relationship going with my customers. And then when something launches or when something comes up, we already have an open communication where they're more likely to be receptive and accept the promo. So yes, diversify. You need to have your own customers. Yes, targeting to Instagram is really, really cool. It's a lot of traffic and it's really fast. Like, it's instant gratification. They see a post, they like it, they purchase. Like, it's very powerful, but you can't just have all of your eggs in one basket. With the rise of TikTok, I'm starting to look at that. I have already started the Alamar TikTok and I have some TikToks up. And now what I'm doing, because I don't want to have my own person, I can't afford to have my own person in-house all day dancing and creating TikToks. I'm gonna, have encourage influencers to create looks with the products that I send them and, promise a repost on TikTok and grow with those young creators on TikTok they're gonna be at the top eventually. Everything happens like that. Everybody starts and grows. It's just the trajectory of life. So get in on those opportunities while they are here, while they're small. Don't wait till everybody on TikTok has 5 million followers to start working with those influencers. Work with them now while they have 2,000 followers, while they have 3,000 followers. I have a lot of girls on TikTok that I've been working with starting like 2 months ago that they do really viral posts for us for a couple $100. It's worth it. You're getting your name out there to a new audience. And that way, you never know, Facebook has evolved so much during the last couple of years. Instagram has continued to evolve. Look how hard it's been over the last couple of years to grow on Instagram and to see more than 10 people's content because they don't show you enough anymore. So diversify your online presence. Make sure you have a really clear email list. Make sure that you're connecting with the people that come directly to your site. Text, email, just try to do everything that you can. There's never too much communication with your audience. It doesn't exist.
Okay. And when I was growing up, so we grew up in an area where we were essentially the only Black family. So getting hair products, getting anything was just kind of null and void. You had to drive for a good sort of 45 minutes for my mum to get products that we needed. And I guess over the last probably 5 years, there's been a real focus on it in the UK, driving this inclusion and diversity message. I don't think we've quite got there. I think it's a sticker for a lot of brands. I know one of you guys said earlier about, I think Ada, you were saying about bringing on a person, ticking the box. There's been a lot of that actually. And again, I think with world news at the moment, it's really interesting to see the brands that have used culture to profit, the ones who come out and speak against things and the ones who stay silent. Kind of tells you quite a lot. So in the world of beauty, we've sort of had the transparency, we've had the sustainability movement, we've had things now to start to cater to people's hairs. You've had, Fenty come out and do really long lines of foundation to feel very inclusive. What do you think's going to come next? What's going to be the next consumer demand of what their expectation is from brands to bring to market? Or what's missing? I guess that's kind of to all of you.
Does anybody, I would say, I feel like for the inclusivity has been demanded and I think it should have been a long time ago, and I'm glad people are stepping up to the plate. I think it's only a matter of time till people really start demanding the biodegradable, friendly, packaging that is friendly. Just like Chelsi said, they are super behind. When I speak to my manufacturers about, I want things that are recyclable, they don't know what to do with the mirror. They're just not, they're not there. But because you can't recycle things that have a mirror, which I didn't know. So I was like, I have all this beautiful paper packaging. Like, I'm killing it. I'm so good for the environment. And they're like, yeah, no, the mirror. So I mean, that is it's gonna get to a head where this new generation, Gen Z, they're so woke. They want to protect the environment. They want to protect each other. It's pretty beautiful to watch. Like, I'm a huge fan of that generation, and I really hope that they like my products because I really like them. But I want to make sure that I give them some good, you know, eco-friendly things, because I think that that's going to be the next thing up, in my opinion. What about you guys?
I would say innovation, and I know Chelsi mentioned this. When I created my brand, Charlotte, it was just like, okay, there's 10 trillion shampoos out there, or there's 10 trillion curl creams, and there's 15,000 multi-textured brands on the shelf now. And, you know, there's not many back in the day. So that's my engineering background. There was a lot of patents and trade and things that actually happened in the category, and you don't see that. Everything's the same with a different fragrance, with a different color label. You know, you look at these multi-textured hair brands and they're same. I read the labels, I'm like, that's this, that's that. So I think that we all have to start, our consumer wants us to think outside the box. So that's why you see small brands, you know, such as ours in the category, because the consumer wants different. They want innovation. They want change. We don't want the same Fortune 500 company to have the same product in 15 different bottles and say, this one's for a Black woman, this one's for a white woman, this one's for this woman. No, we want innovation. And so, you know, if you walk into my company, you know, I have boards everywhere, and like, I'm just like Chelsi, you said, I come up with my best ideas in the shower, when I'm cooking, when I'm, you know, creating. And so I think all of us have to take the time to stand back and say, let's innovate, let's change. I mean, you think about technology is all about innovation and platforms like Gabby talked about, but how do products change? And that's beautiful that 1, 2, 3, 3 of us are engineers. Come on, what and why? Because we're innovating. Engineers are taught to change and to innovate. And so I think it's so important outside packaging, product development, delivery systems, all these things need to be innovated, and we need to tell different stories, and that's what's going to change the market.
And for me, I feel company culture, like consumers don't care anymore that your product is good and you're the best and blah, blah. What about your company culture? What does your founder stand for? Like, they want to know that you really care, especially if your community is a community of color. Like, are you just in our community to gaslight and to profit of our community, but do you really care about the issues that are happening to our community? Like, people are demanding more of that from companies. And I think even if you're not a company that's servicing like people of color, for example, how are you treating your employees? Do they get vacation time off? What does the maternity leaves look like? People are really starting to care about company culture. And there's only so much that your great product is going to take you. People really are starting to be more interested in the behind the scenes and the way that companies are being run, and they are demanding more from companies. Like, you can't just show up into the space with a great product and think that that's all we care about, or you can't hide behind your great product for so long. Like, what does your company actually stand for? What is your company culture, and how are you showing your audience like what your core values are from your company? I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think the consumers have started to realize, and myself, that you vote with your dollar. Who you pay, who you buy, you are literally funding their lifestyle. Whose lifestyle do you want to stand behind and fund? And that's super true. I operate that way now when I buy stuff, and I know that people do too. So I completely agree. That's definitely in the forefront right now.
Yeah. I also wonder. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that the consumer just asks so many more questions. I get so many DMs, not just about like, okay, our packaging, but what we're putting in our moisturizers. What do we stand for? I think it's a culmination of all those things. People just want to know that you care and want to make social impact. It's not just about creating this product. It's about a brand and caring about your community. And I think that's brilliant what you guys are saying.
Yeah, so true. And I was just going to add, and I don't know where the trend will lead, but post-COVID, what does it mean, clean beauty versus safe beauty? And what does safe beauty mean? Even from walking into Sephora and testing product, what does that look like? Because I'm sure that is all done, to walk in and swipe a lipstick. Because, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen it. People are putting lipstick on their lips from who knows what has touched that thing, So what does that mean for our industry in this term of safe beauty, and how that's going to match with, and again, it's this puzzle piece of how that's going to impact the clean movement too, and the biodegradability and sustainability, and what does that mean? Is it more single serve? items, one-time use items, but then that's more trash and we don't want that. So what does that look like? I don't know. Certainly don't have that crystal ball, but I think that's something to think about.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, so we're gonna open this up for Q&A for the next 5 to 8 minutes. Let's see, we have a few questions that we've been already, that we've seen that we collected. So first things foremost, and again, whoever wants to answer this first, please do so. When you all started your businesses, what was the initial planning process? What did the initial planning process look like? Did you have advice anywhere starting with your own brand? Did you have any advice?
So I'll start this is what we do at our company too, but people come to me all the time. So with Beauty Loft, it's a brand incubator, but we're our brand umbrella. So I get DMs all the time. I feel like I'm the brand whisperer. People are like, oh, I have this brand, I want to start it. Can you help me? You know, and the same thing with influencers. I want to, Gabby, I want to rep your product. Give me some free product. Come with a plan. You might have a great idea, but what does that idea look like in the consumer world? So is it a retail brand? Is it a e-commerce brand? There's a business plan. And I think when Ada and I started working on Botanica, like together, we did a 5-year plan. And I know that sounds like a lot, but we're already in year 2. Like it happens so fast. Understanding who your consumer is, where you want to go with it, how much money is the initial investment that you want to put into it, and how that money is going to turn into supporting the brand. I forgot the number. I have it in a presentation I did. By year 2, majority of small businesses are done. They can't sustain to be on, to be out there too, because the growth is so much. So you have to plan for year 2, 3, and 4. And I say I don't plan, but it's all, in my head. I know exactly where the brand's going to be, come up with numbers, and be willing to invest not just money, but time. Khadidja, I applaud you for still working. I couldn't do it. It's so hard. And again, having 3 kids and this business, I never turn off. I might be answering customer service questions at 1:00 in the morning, and it's me, the owner of the company, answering them because I felt like it was important to do it. So be willing to commit, come up with a plan, and don't be afraid to ask people. Chelsi, you were in the industry prior. Ada, you had so many influences. Like I had people that I called and I asked to help you. So it's okay to find a mentor and someone, but it has to be a 2-way street. Don't just say you want a mentor because you want them to give you. What can you do together? Ada brings so much to the table, and I've learned from her, and we're a team. Gabby, I can't wait to bring you to my table, because the things you're saying is where I'm weak. Strength, weaknesses, and balance.
Can really learn. I don't know. I don't have a 5-year plan. Okay, I'm just going with it.
Well, I'm gonna help you with it.
Can we all get on a call after this to talk business stuff and how we can help each other, please?
Dude,
Absolutely, yes.
After you do your Walmart day.
The work never ends, guys. The reality.
And I think I would add, it's okay to not know everything. And I feel like you said, it's phone a friend, but it has to be a 2-way street, because you're not going to know everything, and that's okay. A lot of founders like, oh, I have to be good at social, I have to be good at finance too, and I also have to be good at sales, and I have to be good, at all these different things, and that's not the case. Utilize and recognize, and be humble enough to recognize your strengths, and then fill those gaps with either friends, family, mentors, people on the street. LinkedIn is a great tool. Reach out, and people are willing to help. I think this new generation of beauty entrepreneurs are willing to help, and I think that when I started my career, that actually was not the case. It was a very sad state out there, but it has changed.
It has changed. I think now women know that we can exist together, and because we have kind of realized, oh wait, for a long time women kind of, there was only allowed to be so many of us in a room at once, let's be honest. So it was kind of like, that fear and anxiety of like, I don't want this person to do well, because what if that affects me? And it's only natural, it's survivalship. And I'm so happy that that's not the case anymore, that we all know, like, you know what? No, we actually are so much better when we do help each other, and we don't have time for you if we don't agree. And that has been the biggest blessing, and truly why I think that all of our companies have done well, because we have so much support from other women. Think about it, like my entire network, everybody in my life are other women of color who want to see me do well for the most part. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm happy that it has changed, because look how far you've come. You really have hustled it out and gotten super far in your career when it was not easy.
And to your point, Chelsea, like one thing that I always get questions about is people are always just asking so many questions. There is value in when you create that plan, you create that strategy, you're going to learn so much after you launch your business. Like getting that experience, you're going to make mistakes. I've made so many, and I'm going to continue to make those mistakes. But I think just also launching and learning from, you'll find your audience, you'll figure out, what packaging works, what social media post works. You learn a lot, through actually doing it. So don't let the fear of not knowing everything stop you from just going ahead and do it.
Thank you, guys. All right, next question. What is one piece of advice you have for minority women working in the beauty and advertising and marketing industry trying to establish their career?
I would say don't be afraid to fail, fail faster. I think so many of us are so scared to mess up. And granted, obviously I perform my job to the best of my ability, so I don't fail and I don't mess up, but don't be afraid of failing, because that's how you learn faster. And like Gabby said, smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from other people's mistakes. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to put in the work. Honestly, before I became an entrepreneur, I had the other day I counted how many jobs I had before I went into entrepreneurship, 18. I literally worked all my life since I was 14 at so many different places, so many different companies. I worked for a venture capital firm, and I don't even like accounting and math. That is not my strong suit, but I learned so many things. I worked on a cruise ship selling artwork. I learned how to sell and how to talk to an audience and how to be charismatic and how to get people to like you, because at the end of the day, people do business with people they like. So you need to be a likable person. And so, don't be afraid of coming into the office early and staying late. The best things I ever learned that I applied to my life as an entrepreneur is when I was an executive assistant to my boss at the venture capital firm, and I would stay late. I would be at work until 2:00 in the morning. That's not normal. I'm not telling you guys that you have to do that, but I just did what I had to do, and I found that during those times is when my boss would talk to me and be like, this is how you do things, this is how you move, this is how you, and I learned so much from his experience and his mistakes. So don't be afraid to go above and beyond, especially if you're young. These are the years of your life that you're gonna establish your work ethic and everything. Your work ethic is everything. So if you don't have anything to do, instead of going out after work with your friends to hang out at the bar, if you see that your boss is still at work, why would you leave? No, you need to stay there, talk. What can I help you? What can I learn? Put in the extra time now while you have the energy, because you're young. Because let me tell you, I just turned 30 and my whole body operates differently. Things start to hurt, my wrists, my knees, my elbows. While you can and you still have the youthfulness, put in the work at the office or in whatever you're doing. At one point I had an internship, I was going to school full time, I had a part-time job, and I was doing my blog. I couldn't do that now because I'm just not there. But please, your youthfulness, don't spend it on doing things that are not going to get you ahead in your 30s. Girl, hustle.
I also wanted to chime into that just because, for those that want to tap into the PR and marketing industry, and if you're a woman of color, use that to your advantage. I think, when I was starting out, I what we like to say, we were I was the token expert, the multicultural beauty expert, but I while I struggled with the title at first, being the MC expert, and you have to understand that they need us and we're here to educate them. Look at it, use it to your advantage. Use it as a way to teach others about your culture, because they need everyone, benefits from one another in a way. And we have so much to give and offer. And looking back at the brands and I mentioned this yesterday for those that attended the panel, but it makes so much sense to also bring it up again today. It's that for those brands that, continue to lack the inclusivity piece or the diversity piece, they're launching these shade ranges that are very limited. Maybe they fail to have that one person in the room to call them out on it. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts. Your thoughts are very valuable. There's many times that I've been sitting in the room that I feel should I say it? Should I not? And I just say it. And then maybe everyone looks at me and stares at me and says, did she just really say that? But it caught their attention and said, oh, okay, you know what? Let's rethink this. You have to be that person. And I think the more you speak up, the more you share your thoughts, it's so valuable. for any brand nowadays. Like, they're looking at you to share your thoughts and opinions, because that's how they all grow and also achieve inclusivity and diversity. I hope I'm getting my point, but again, I think where I'm getting at is speaking up in the room. You have to use your voice in order to bring change. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything else, or we'll jump into the third question. All right, the third question is, which is most important? Introducing your product or cultivating your brand's messaging? Can it be done effectively simultaneously? Who wants to take this one?
I think yes, they could be done simultaneously. I think that products take a long time to develop. So you have a lot of time from the time that you concept what you want to brand it, market it, come up with a story, tie it back into the tone of your company, and make it so that it's a 360 experience for your consumer. It can definitely be done. They're both equally important. A good product with no story is easy to forget, and a good a beautiful story with a bad product, you're not going to pick it up again, so that person's not going to repurchase. So they're both equally important and have to be built simultaneously, in my opinion.
I was just going to add, I'd agree with that. And the other thing that is a part B to all of that is be ready to pivot, because sometimes the best laid plans, you've got your message, you've got your audience, it's all cool, it's going to work, it's going to be great. And then it doesn't. And then why, and reevaluate. And I think that's just something, you've got your step A, but then as you grow with your company on a daily, monthly, weekly, however you want to look at it basis, is it resonating? Is it not? And if it's not, what can you do to fix it?
We're going to move on to the last question that I saw here that I think is just relevant to share during these times. So how has your social life been impacted by your business? And how do you find balance in work, love, friendships, and family? I know a few have answered this, but if anyone wants to chime into this.
I just posted about this on my Instagram yesterday because I had like a memory pop up of 5 years ago when I first begun my entrepreneur journey. And I'm like, if I knew then what I know now, I probably wouldn't have gone the way that I went about entrepreneurship. And there's some people glamorize entrepreneurship and they don't talk about all the other shit. Like, I gained 30 pounds. Like, since I became an entrepreneur, I've gained 30 pounds. Why? Because I'm my last priority. My main priority is making sure that this business is good, that everything takes off, that I'm doing what I have to do. Do you really think after working a 12-hour shift, I'm gonna go home and cook a salad or make a salad? No, I'm gonna have a Popeye sandwich because I don't have time and I just wanna eat something. So obviously, those are habits that I'm trying to change and work on now. But people don't talk about things like that. And when you work in the beauty industry and your image is such a huge part of what you do, that does start to take a toll on you when you start to look at yourself in pictures from events and you're like, wow, I've gained 30 pounds. And this is the things that people don't discuss in entrepreneurship. And that's why I just want to be as transparent as possible with my audience. Yeah, this is cute and fun when it is, but it's a lot, it's not as glamorous as it seems or as it looks. And I'm trying to show that to you. So, oh my God, my social life, what friends? I'm with Aisha all the time. At this point, I literally vacation. My vacations consist of Aisha's family vacations, and people are like, I don't get tired of each other. And I'm very thankful that we have, when we're on for work, we're on for work, but when we're off and we're just chilling and having a good time, we are really good friends outside of our business. I look at Aisha as a big sister, sometimes as a mom, sometimes as a friend, sometimes Aisha is really my best friend. It's kind of sad, but Aisha really is my best friend. And so I'm just so thankful because honestly, my circles have gotten smaller. A lot of my closest friends at this point in my life are also entrepreneurs because they just understand you in a different way. But I'm so thankful that my friends that are not entrepreneurs just understand and give me that grace, because I'm not showing up the same way as a friend that I was showing up in my early 20s, just because I have a lot more on my plate. So your social life suffers, your weight suffers. There's so many things that suffers, but you have to hang on to the hope and see the bigger picture. You know. That's my 2 cents.
No, 1,000,000%. Because I also work a 9 to 5 and I do have a business. So it's very often that I'm working 20-hour days. That's not, I wake up at 4 a.m. every day. It is not glamorous at all. I want to eat healthy. I travel 3 times a week. I'm in a plane. I'm basically in hotels 300 nights a week, in a year. So it's so hard to maintain a social life because when do I have the time? At some point, I also have to prioritize myself and my family. So it is not glamorous at all. And you, like, as you said, Ada, like, you don't see that very often. And it's so important that people also understand that it's hard, but I feel like what drives you is your purpose and, your business. It's like, it fulfills so much for people. So like not going out just doesn't bother me anymore. You know what I mean?
And I was going to say that too, because I do know the importance of work-life balance, but at the same time, sometimes you got to grind a little to shine a lot. And that's why it's important to focus when you're in those building moments, because it does pay off. And eventually when your company takes off, all of our companies are going to be Fortune 500 millionaire companies, and we'll have other people that we can hire to take on those heavy workloads so that we can have more time. Because at least for me, my ultimate goal is a peaceful, non-stressful, abundant life at the end of the day. Like that's what I want. That's what I'm working for. That's what I keep the end goal. And if that's your end goal, how bad do you want it? Sometimes your friends are just going to have to understand. Sometimes you're going to have to reschedule things. Sometimes you're just going to be like, you know what? I'm tired and I don't want to go. And if that's how you feel, don't go. You don't owe anybody anything. So I would say to keep that energy, and it's worth it. Even if you're struggling a little bit with your work-life balance right now, it does pay off. And I am trying to prioritize myself too, because I also gained a lot of weight since I started this company.
And I would say too, like one of the things I want to share is, and Ada knows about me, so I'm the party animal. I'm all in. I'm always just going. And when COVID first happened, we actually launched. I had a press release March 14th for my new company, and I had to scale back. And I fell into a complete funk. And then I kept seeing people on social media saying, well, if you're not exercising every day, or you're not loving on your husband every day, or you're not baking and learning new recipes and creating, then you're no good. That's absolute garbage, because we deal with stuff differently. I was in the moms, Chelsi, I was in protection mode. I have 3 kids that I want to see live a healthy, good life. And my focus at that point, I was losing hundreds of thousands. Ask Ada, PO, cancel. All my retailers, like, I probably lost like a damn near $250,000 in revenue just instantly. And all I can think about was protecting my family. And I think, when we become moms and, even, Ada's part of my family, protecting everybody and making sure that we can move. And today I was talking to my friend Lois, who owns Tropic Isle. She's been a very good friend to me. She called me early this morning and she was like, Aisha, I think we made it. And I said, you know what? COVID's not over, but retailers are opening up. Our e-commerce is booming because of you guys. And so that 2 months was a self-reflection for me. It was a 2 months for me to understand my purpose. I have not been home for 2 months in my life. Like, I have been home every day, not traveling. I'm working 12 hours, and it allowed me to understand more purpose. And so when you have those down times, it's a point of reflection and purpose. And so, COVID's not over, and it's not going to be over. Our e-commerce platform is so tight right now. We got a 14,000 square foot building. We are doing it. We're sourcing, pivoting. And, Chelsi mentioned that earlier. Right now, we're in a time where all of us need to pivot into something greater and use this as a reflection into the next stage in our life. And I feel like I'm 42, and happy birthday, Chelsi. I'm going to be 43, but this is the next stage of my life where I'm going to be so damn great, and I'm going to love every moment of it. And I think we have to think about that. Every stage is something different. And my best friend since I was 12 is still my absolute best friend. We don't see each other. We don't have much time, but it's all about understanding, and everyone around you understanding what your goal and your purpose is. And I know my purpose right now. And it's not bacon.
Like motivational speaking, like Zooms. Aisha, that's what we need. You need to be like our motivational speaker, like every other Tuesday.
No. Imagine my poor kids, man. My kids
I think it's great, because I think we all need that. Because to the question, entrepreneurship is hard. Momship is hard. Even for Mother's Day, my oldest was like, Mom, what's your hobby? You need a hobby, because then we would buy you things for your hobby. I'm like, my hobby is taking you to your hobby. So that's my hobby, is raising you and working. I don't have time for a hobby. I've gained weight. I've done all those, all these things. I ate those frozen pizzas I talked about earlier, because it's just hard, and there's only so many hours of the day. And
but you love it. You're happy. You love what you do.
Right? Yeah. I just love, like, not having to answer to anybody, you know, and like you said earlier,
That's
you
what
know,
I live for. That's the thing.
yeah, I mean, just making all these products to make money for someone else, make it for yourself, you know, and if you've got the idea, do it, you know, and like I said, there's a community of women out there ready to help.
And why not you? If you see that it exists, if someone else is capable of it, then you are more than capable of it. There's nothing stopping you. Just focus up, do your research, save your coins, and you can do it.
That's right.
And have a great idea, and there's investors out there, you guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a whole nother story. And I think people feel so many times that like we have to pull out our life savings and everything. You know, GoFundMe, there's investors, there's family members, there's people out there that come up to me all the time, and I'm working on this through my new company, is trying to raise capital for our business, because that's a big problem. But it's okay to take capital, because guess what? Some of the best companies all took capital from somewhere to take it to the next level. I am not going to go to the next level unless I find a way to raise more capital. And we all have to think about that. And that's a whole nother class, but it's okay to borrow. Didn't we all take student loans? And look at us now. You know, didn't we borrow at some point of our life from our parents or from someone? It's okay, because guess what? It's going to take you to that next level. You have to be able to get to that next level, and you have to scale up. And what do you need to scale up? Capital.
You guys are amazing. Everybody, I honestly did not think we were going to go over again, because I was trying to, I know time is of the essence for everybody, but thank you to each and every one of you. I think just the vibe that I'm getting from here, the energy, it's like so positive here. And I feel like one day, post-COVID, after all this is behind us, we can host like a Bonita in-person panel of sorts with the fitting room in the UK. Who knows? I don't know. But this is all so amazing. Thank you to everybody that joined. Just reading the comments in the chat, everyone is leaving inspired. And again, for those that probably joined in a little late, this is being recorded, and the fitting room is taking the lead in making this into a cute little recap that we will share afterwards. So we will share this on our, we will also share this on TVP. For those that registered with the Eventbrite, we have your email. We will be sharing this, you know, via email. And yeah, and again, thank you to everybody. If you guys want to maybe just share where they can find you, I think, you know, for the most part, we all know where we can find everybody. But if you guys just want to share really quickly where they can find you and reach you.
Allthingsada.com is my personal brand. All Things Ada on the interwebs, and then botanicabeauty.com is the hair care brand. And we're in Walmart and Target, so you can support us in that way.
Please.
And Target closed during this whole thing, which is a really, really good sign. That was a good omen.
But I, you know, just to add to that, and I'm actually getting texts right now from our retailers, and my nerves are bad, and I'm shaking. Ada, wait till I get to your office. But Aisha, RC, I am trying to do better on social. Ada's encouraging me to post more. I'm just so crazy and busy, but maybe we are going to start a podcast. I thought about making the brand where
they all want it.
I don't know yet. I'm not committing to anything. It forces me into this. Honey Baby Naturals. We're in pretty much every major retailer, but here's the one thing, you guys. All the people that were on here today, the only way that we're going to stay in business is if we support each other. And that means walking into the store, and instead of choosing, you know, this mass product that's not targeted by us, created by us, we have to support it. And that's another thing with Botanica. We just got into almost 500 Walmart doors, and because of COVID, we're getting penalized for it. We need to walk into these stores and support each other. That's the only way that we stay there. And we're competing with these billion-dollar companies, and it is not easy.
Check Kinko out at www.kinko.care. So that's a little different. And then in the comments, I put my personal Instagram and of course our company Instagram.
And for me, I wrote it in our little thread as well, but you can find me on Instagram or any social platform at GabbyTMUA is my personal. And then my company's is Alamar Cosmetics. We're Alamar Cosmetics on everything. And I would really appreciate if you guys check this out. And I will be checking all of you ladies out and making sure we stay in contact, because I have so much to learn.
Yes, and for me, it's for my personal, I'm Khadidja, and KubraKSkincare.com, and the Instagram is KubraKSkincare. But I'll write it because that's hard to spell. All of that's hard.
And then if you guys don't already follow the Bonita Project, you know where to find us, the Bonita Project, and we're always posting updates from all of our clients, what they're up to, what sales they have going on, et cetera, and all that fun stuff. So you guys can also get your recaps there. And that's that. We're done. Thank you. Thank you, Bonitas. Thank you, everybody. A lot of kisses, sending you positive vibes. And
thank you, amazing ladies. And thank you, Danielle, for having us.
Yes, and Charlotte and team.
Thank you. Yes.
We'll
Charlotte.
connect after.
And we'll see you in the UK when it's all clear.
Yes, UK.
Honey Baby and Botanica Beauty in the UK as well. We are sold in the UK.
Okay, I'm gonna look out for you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good evening.